Rock stars in the 1980s weren't known to be the nicest of guys. They had more of a reputation for destroying hotel rooms than they did for actually being good at their instrument. So which rock star said James Bond had a license to kill, rock stars have a license to be outrageous? 'Cause boy did he mean it. That's right, today we're exploring the 1980s rockers who were outrageously huge jerks. Some might be obvious, some not so much. So which one racked up $1 million on the band's credit card? Who scammed their fans by selling invisible merchandise? And which legendary 80s rocker tried to take a bite out of a security guard? It might not be the one you expect. Before we begin, please give this video a thumbs up to show your support. And subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And get in the comments section and tell us who or what you want us to cover next. Now, cross your fingers and hope your favorite rock star isn't on this list, and let's go find out.
What happened?
Gene Simmons. Kiss is kinda like the McDonald's of rock music. It's not the healthiest stuff, but man does it hit the spot sometimes. And the mastermind behind the band was the bassist and lead singer Gene Simmons. It was Gene who turned the band from a typical hard rock outfit to a devilish circus show. Accusing Gene of selling out is accusing McDonald's of making hamburgers. It's kind of their whole thing, you know. But that does not give Gene a free pass. He's always worked hard to be the biggest, richest jerk in the music biz. He's been all over the news making ignorant comments about whatever the subject of the day is. Kiss never missed an opportunity to nickel and dime even their most devoted fans. And when you dig deeper, typically it's always been Gene leading the charge. Kiss once got tens of thousands of their fans to pay $3.99 for a totally empty bag. The scheme? Well, they told them they were selling air guitar strings. And that's not all. In 2017, he tried to copyright the devil horn symbol, saying he basically invented it. He did regret that later when he said, quote, "I regret nothing." So he's basically Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. I see nothing, I hear nothing, I know nothing. In fact, Gene has never missed an opportunity to be the smaller person. After Prince died, Prince, Gene called him pathetic for succumbing to addiction. He once said, quote, "I'm the guy who says jump when there's a guy on top of a building who says, that's it, I can't take it anymore, I'm going to jump." Wow, sounds like a real swell guy. When an interviewer from NPR asked why he wears a codpiece, he said that it holds in his manhood. And that, quote, "If you want to welcome me with open arms, I'm afraid you're also going to have to welcome me with open legs." But being a jerk hasn't exactly stopped Gene from being lucky with the ladies. He once claimed to have slept with 4,600 women. Then he said, no, that's a lie. Really, it was 4,897. Thanks for clearing that one up, Gene. I was really sweating it for a sec. Steven Tyler. If you know Aerosmith, you know Steven Tyler. For decades, Steven has been pushing the limits of what rock stars can do during performances. So what do you expect him to be like off stage? He likes to think he's a pretty chill guy. When he visited Berklee College of Music to address the next generation of rock stars, he told them, quote, "Humility is really important because it keeps you fresh and new." Which might be a bit ironic because Steven is one of the least humble people in the world. For decades, Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, Aerosmith's guitarist, were known as the Toxic Twins, both for all the substances they ingested and for how unpleasant they were to be around. His own bandmates have called Steven unspeakably cruel and also impossible to talk to. Steven, however, would like to think he's changed. Now, Kiss and Aerosmith go way back. They toured together decades ago. But Steven would like to think he's changed a lot since those days. In an interview, Steven says, quote, "They're 100% right. I've said many things to all those guys I never should have said, and I did not mean. But it only took a few seconds for the real Steven to come out. Immediately after he said, quote, I think my perfectionism and my busting everybody's chops is what got the band to where it is today. In the end, I got a real good song, and in the end, I get the hits. Yeah, I'm that good. When Steven isn't building himself up, he's usually busy tearing other people down. When asked about Kiss, a band he did tour with many times, he called them a comic book rock band. I doubt that hurt Gene's feelings too much because I don't know if he has them. Neal Schon. Neal Schon, the guitarist for Journey, has been a part of more school dances than cheap khakis. And unlike some other guys on this list, he's not the first thing you think of when you hear Jerk. But there's a reason for that. Neal Schon isn't the kind of guy that gets into fights outside of the bar. He prefers his battles in the courtroom. In fact, Neal has been involved in some of the most insane legal and financial scandals in rock and roll history. So let's take a journey into the mud. In the early stages of his career, Neal was mostly known for being a first-rate guitarist, jamming with guys like Eric Clapton and Santana before joining Journey. But decades into the music biz seems to have changed him because he started spending more time talking to the lawyers than the sound guys. In 2007, he dipped his toe into legal warfare when he sued his ex-wife's mother-in-law. Okay, let me get this straight. Neal said she blogged that he did not pay child support. But things got even crazier after Neal married Michaela Salahi in 2013. Michaela is famous for starring on The Real Housewives of DC. Oh boy, that's my favorite one. And she wasn't about to give up her lifestyle for their wedding, and that might have been a sign of things to come. It was held at the ritzy Palace of Fine Arts, and they were even nice enough to stream it for the commoners. You only had to pay $14.95 on pay-per-view. Holy smokes, that's funny. Neal decided to marry Michaela, the manager of the band. Honestly, never a great sign. Together, they became paranoid and controlling. Neal hired private security and sent spies to snoop around the room of Jonathan Cain, Journey's keyboardist. So Jonathan then hired his own private security. More beef followed. Neal sued Jonathan, saying he tried to stop him from using the band's credit card. Jonathan said this was because Neal charged over $1 million for his own personal expenses, luxury suites, and clothing. All this made it pretty awkward when Journey went on tour in 2023. In fact, Neal and Jonathan stood on the opposite sides of the stage. They were like 60 feet away from each other at all times. Doesn't sound like much fun, but as long as the money keeps rolling in, I don't see them stopping. Axel Rose. If any band defined the 1980s, it's probably Guns N' Roses. But kicking solos, dreamy power ballads, and leather pants. Yup, that's the 80s alright. And they never would have been as huge as they were without Axel Rose, known for his huge vocal range and crazy stage antics. But Axel isn't exactly known for being the nicest guy either. So is he really the biggest jerk from the 1980s? Axel is famous for being late, sometimes hours late to his own shows. But hey, being a rock star, I'm sure, is a high-stress environment. He was probably carefully preparing, making sure he could put on the best show possible for his fans, right? Well, no, not exactly. Axel was usually getting sloshed, as you can see from the many drunk performances Axel has done. But sometimes he has very important things to do. Once, Axel Rose was hours late because he couldn't turn off the film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. I guess he just really needed to get to the bottom of the ooze. But Axel's rockstar behavior doesn't exactly stop when he leaves the stage. In 1990, he allegedly whacked his neighbor on the head with a wine bottle. And in 2006, he was arrested in Sweden for allegedly biting a security guard on the leg. So when he said, "I want to watch you bleed" in Welcome to the Jungle, well, I guess he really meant it. And Axel isn't exactly the nicest guy to his own bandmates. In the middle of a tour, he once gave them an ultimatum: sign over the rights to the band name, or he'd break them up. The guys had little choice but to do it, and the strategy paid off a few years later. The band broke up, and Axel made a totally new band and called it Guns N' Roses. As for what he thinks about Slash, well, I'll let him use his own words, saying, quote, "Personally, I consider Slash a cancer and better removed, avoided. And the less anyone heard of him or his supporters, the better." Wow, that's gotta hurt. But I bet Slash sleeps like a baby at night. At least he's known as the guy from Guns N' Roses that plays guitar and not the guy that bites people. Alright, those are some awesome 80s rockstar jerks. Are any of these guys really just misunderstood sweeties? Who was your favorite to listen to? Did you ever see any of them perform live? And did we leave off a 1980s rocker who was also kind of a pain in the butt? Get in the comments and let us know. And if you want to be a bit sweet, please give this video a thumbs up to show your support. Subscribe to our channel and come back often so we can keep telling you what happened.